trying to get the lighting right because maybe we can, sorry, there, that might be better. You like it, Neuralins? I need to buy a new thing for my, oh no, that's good. So I'm just gonna go around and clean up everything. Let's start with the darkest and kind of here, maybe move across. All good, Neuralins. Appreciate you. Let me see. Let's do like a glaze here. Let's go with a when you're at this stage in the game where I'm pretty much calling it, everything else is just, I just wanted to show you the last stage. I wanted to have one because I did a few videos on the creation of this, and so I just thought I owed it to you, to myself really, to get a final live on here with kind of the process of just tidying things up and giving it, like, in my opinion, it was done yesterday. So then it made me think, okay, why don't you put a little extra work into here? I mean, even just do this. I was looking at the live to see, it's hard to get the lighting. This is pretty close, I think, better than yesterday. When I have the camera straight on, it kind of distorts the color a little bit. And being gentle and like there's no, it's all subtleties. And cleanup work. Just like give it the extra time that it needs. So I really love the idea of infiltrating poop squatch, poopa squatch. I'll never forget you. Ditto. So you take the idea of The Simpsons childhood memory. It's deeply embedded in my psyche, whether I like it or not. And then I like to, and you know, they've been around so long and they've done their own parodies of like, you know, there's parodies of parodies at this point. So I'm not really standing behind the concept of like, oh, let's do something original with The Simpsons. That's been done long ago. Hell, the recent exposed Banksy did a couch gag. And they've been using artists for decades to like collaborate. So when I do like start with The Simpsons, it's more of my own subconscious that I'm tapping into, because there's a lot of childhood memories and a lot of you know, The Simpsons raised us. So they're just in my subconscious. That's why I do the layout of the room, and then it's like it's where my childhood meets my current state of mind and the current politique, and where everything that's going on, in this case this week for me. And I was thinking about a number of different things, not contemporary, old, like ancient artifacts. There's a painting called, or sorry, a sculpture called Venus of Willendorf, Venus Willendorf, and it's this old chubby little cute sculpture of a lady that's represented by this figure. So that's where it started. So I was not mocking, just infiltrating like a modern version of the Venus Willendorf. The Willendorf or Willendorf, I can't remember. That's where it all started. And then it started to morph right away, where I was like, okay, by giving it this Optimus Prime crown, we're now entering a world where it's starting to look like almost like the Statue of Liberty a little bit, like the same kind of pose. So I was playing on that, and where we are in like the Western society is like the Statue of Liberty would be clearly on TikTok today if it was a person who would have an account. And then you add some supernatural elements of, and even some sort of like ghostly biomechanical radioactive infiltration. Like this characters can only survive by being tapped into something. And then you add the elements of like this raw rudeness of online culture today, which I'm sure I would be a part of. So that's why they're naked and heavy set. Like what's behind the camera, really. But back to the supernatural element of like creating, like I love the idea of rituals and superstitions. I don't even need to get into it. I just love that concept of witchcraft and spirits, and actually having like a cause and effect when you do seances, and then you have the element of futuristic sci-fi. That's back to this like bioengineering, this bio sci-fi, like the Terminator arm was, I think, after the robot helmet. So meaning that this is otherworldly or futuristic, but caught in the present time, which is all encapsulated in my memories of being a child. So that's kind of like the twisted journey that we're on. And then the world just started to, well, what is this arm holding with this burning flag, and you know, based on the current state of the world and the rebelliousness to that. And then you have all the topical issues of like, is this a man or a woman? And what does that mean? And then surrounded by floating donuts, because what else would it be surrounded by? It's obvious it's got to be floating donuts. Clearly. And a lot of these things aren't like to like make a point. It's more like my own gluttony and my own sins. And I always say, like, I'll paint a portrait of you, but you got to tell me all your darkest secrets, and I'll just paint all those. Like, just show me your browser history, and I'll paint what's in there, and that will define you based on your sins, what you hide the most. And I compact all these kind of concepts as I go around and create my works. Then there's like a melting Ernie, or is that Bert? I'm not sure. And then I thought, oh, I like this ice cream guy because he is just this cartoon element in a cartoon. See, these are the kind of details that I was going to avoid putting in, and I'm glad I'm just spending a little extra time getting this really wrapped up. Then I wanted more characters, so I added this guy. It's kind of like he's just a not a byproduct, but a casualty of the crazy scene that's happening. And just to build composition, really, and to add more confusion and even add a little bit of a little more details in this smaller painting down below. Kind of like they're clothed. So that's not a very coherent, streamlined explanation of what's happening, but I thought I would give one nonetheless. Just how I've worked around everything. And then I tapped into like the idea of censorship, and the best example is like if you took a show like Family Guy. They push the limits, but they can't, there's limitations, and they have to work within those limitations in order to reach the large audience that they had or have. And I'm fascinated with censorship and the idea of it, and then what happens when you censor people, and what do they do about that. And then there's some like raw purists that really are against it. And then there's somebody like me that's kind of in the middle, that it's not that I'm against it or for it, rather, but like how do I work within those boundaries and how it affects me personally. Like if I just painted something that was completely explicit or just completely shocking, that would get, flagged and stuff, then it's gonna be hard for people to even see it. So yeah. What's up here? So I'm just fascinated on how I interact with censorship. It's easy to say, oh, it's needed, and you can't be having gratuitous imagery all over the place, and then it has to be there has to be some boundaries, and then the purists would say, well, no, people need to be able to express themselves, and if that means boundaries need to be pushed, I'm somewhere in the middle, because I think, like I said, there's an art to finding a balance, and I just find it fascinating that I had to cover up this nipple, because if I'm gonna stream and the first thing you see is a gigantic nipple, that will then cause me a headache, and then maybe it'll even won't let me stream, and maybe it will, but like you have this fine dance that you have to do, and I just find it fascinating, and I kind of like the smiley sticker covering up the nipple, because it's just so ridiculous. But I do like the outcome that it created, so I find that fascinating. Again, I'm not trying to convince anyone or making even an argument. I'm just observing what happened to me because of my thoughts and the way that social media works today and all that stuff. Oh, I'm glad I put in some extra highlights on him. That's cool. Obviously, there's money in the game of social media, so this character is extremely wealthy and just spends all the money on completely there's no rhyme or reason. It's just completely absurd. A lot of my work would fall into the absurdist camp for sure, where it's even beyond surreal. This is actually more surreal, but a lot of my work is very absurdist, where there's like kind of like the more you think about it, the less it makes sense. I still always try to have like some sort of anchor or like outline of some coherence, where you can kind of like anchor onto something or latch onto something, like, okay. And then I try to add a lot of satire and irony, and because I just personally enjoy painting that. You like this one? No one? Yeah, I'm starting to enjoy it. I'm also wrapping it up. I'm ready to move on to bigger and better things. I wasn't even planning on doing these extra details, but I just thought I wanted, because I did other lives on this piece earlier in the week, I just thought I would show you me wrapping it up. Thought it was worthwhile. We're not going to be doing anything major, just cleaning things up. That's it. Maybe like little details, right? Sometimes I think like the world does need like comedy, like more than almost anything. Clarity, comedy, and I think you find clarity through not just straight up silliness, but like different perspectives. And I'm not saying anything new or anything, but that's kind of why I just gravitate to things that are, in my case, a little more silly than perhaps thought provoking. But I try to get things that will make people think. I think that's part of an artist's job, is to have some sort of messaging. And I think that makes the work last longer. Because in a world where, you see, what's like, I'll exaggerate, but maybe not, like 10,000 images a day, 10,000 videos, 10,000 pieces of media, everything from the news to art to music, to all the categories. How does a piece of art that's a still survive? Well, hopefully it has a message that will last, will have an impact. You would hope that for your work when you're. And people have preferences. Like there's a large amount of people that will not lean towards this kind of work by any stretch. But then I have a little niche that goes, yeah, that makes sense. Someone's drilling next door. But again, I'm glad I'm putting these details on because some of the highlights I had in the donuts were just a little too aggressive. And I saw them and I wasn't going to touch them up. So I'm glad I. It's kind of too bright. Here you can see when I do this. Let's see what happens. It's hard to get the color correct on certain colors show better than others. I'm not too worried. It kind of looks, it's a little more contrasty in real life. Like there's more of a contrast with some of these shadows and highlights. It's hard to grab it with where my I'm trying to think what else we need to do here. We'll tidy up this guy. His hands are a little silly, admittedly. They're not like clear as day. But you get it. trying to think if there's any other final thoughts to this piece that would make sense mentioning. What's the Bert lore? Yes, comedy will save the world. Comedy's still comedy's complicated because I think about it a lot. And comedy is always going to upset somebody and is always going to have backers. And it either ages really well or ages really poorly. And I find that to be that alone to be fascinating, where it's like some people are really put off by certain things. And it's easy to say, oh, they just don't have a sense of humor, it's just a joke. That's kind of like the counter to that. But the fact that people are really against something being said, and then sometimes it's personal, so it's like an attack. So that can cause obvious pushback. The Bert lore, again, we are just tapping into old memories that are floating around in my psyche. He's yellow, and we're in a world of yellow creatures. So instead of I wanted something on the couch, and having a melted Bert. I'm glad you clarified. I wasn't sure if it was Ernie or Bert. Let's do a little bit here. So it's not too deep. Other than, again, it's just irony. Yellow characters in a yellow world should be, in theory, The Simpsons. Just be adding another creature from another universe into this that happens to be yellow. I don't think I looked into it too deeply. However, I grew up with Sesame, that was my generation. I think it's still on and stuff, but I mean, peak Sesame Street was always a channel you'd skip over when I was growing up. Because I don't know if it was really there for my actual, taught, I think so though, actually. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That was my childhood. So yeah, Bert, he's just in it. For example, I've painted Steve Buscemi way too many times. And one person had, I wouldn't even call it criticism, but we're just like, oh man, why'd you do that to Steve? Or what did he ever do to you? And I'm like, I actually love Steve. But he's just floating around in my brain somewhere, taking up space. And sometimes he just appears in a lot of my paintings. I don't set out to paint Steve Buscemi. He just all of a suddenly appears. He's just in there, like Bert. He's just in there. Sometimes I hunt for things to put in. In this case, though, most of everything was just kind of organic. Trying to tell a story that doesn't, an absurdist story about our times, about the times we're in right now. That's it. And then I just start inserting things that are floating around in my brain. And then oftentimes people have better understandings of the work than I do. You can kind of grow into, like, lean into that when people have, oh, what a great representation of A, B, and C. You're like, yeah, cool. Even like titles, I get so many great ideas about titles of like the works. I'm like, oh, your title's way better than mine. Yoink. Sometimes I'm really attached to a certain concept or a certain idea or a message, and I won't really be persuaded. I just like, no, this is what it is. This is what I'm really, in this case, it's more of a combination of a bunch of imagery. So if you can build a story around it, from what you see, I'm really interested. I'm not attached to this piece like that. Add some depth into the arm here, or sorry, the flag. When you add like nuanced and variations in the colors and the values, you it becomes more alive for sure. And at this stage, again, it's really in your best interest to work with what you have and not recreate. It doesn't really serve you. You just work with what you have, make it better. But now, like this red, I think that's too much. It's good for here. Just add some, now we're adding just different colors, but it looks, I like it. You want everything to look like at least it's been worked on too. Sometimes there's this really cosmetic methodology or concept going on in my work. Like, okay, what just looks the best? We'll do that. Right now, I definitely want to have that probably at the top of my list. We're not thinking concept anymore, we're thinking aesthetics. A little composition for sure, but aesthetics primarily. What looks the best? Do that. These hot dogs were the stupidest thing I did. Like a vest full of hot dogs. You know what? Let's get nuts. I think why it's stupid is because I didn't add enough. We're going hard. I can't believe this is happening. Whoa! What's going on? More dogs. I actually thought there'd be a lot more stuff like this in this piece, and surprisingly there isn't. I'm shocked. I thought we were gonna do a lot more like imagery like this throughout. The gold chain was kind of like that. The what do you call it? The radioactive wiring was something like that. This guy's, I guess, like that. But I thought like more smaller details. But I think what makes the dog so stupid, in my opinion, is because the idea is not that clear. 2 is not enough. And everyone loves hot dogs. So it's like, hey, if you're gonna do the dogs, do them right. Fair. I was neglecting the dogs. The dogs were being neglected. So either do the dogs right or don't do them at all. That's the moral of this story. Do the dogs right or don't do them at all, sir. Okay. Sorry. They kind of even need an apology. Kept complaining about them. Glogs. I don't have really the right color going on. Let's try to get a better dog color. They start off like browny red, sunburnt. They need attention. You can't leave the dogs unattended, the glogs. You cannot leave them unattended. They will cause havoc if they're left unattended. The light's hitting them, they're glistening. Remember, it's a constant contradiction, or I wouldn't go as far as saying like hypocritical, but it's just more because it's only hypocritical because I'm saying it out loud. If I wasn't streaming, then you wouldn't know I said, let me just focus on the details and cleaning everything up. Don't add anything. Do not add anything. And now I'm going against my strategy. Welcome to art. To creating. Since we're adding, well, this is too army. Let's get it a little bit, well, I guess more army. Let's just make it a little, again, more, bring some clarity. This is like a wash, but you can see I'm just tinting the belt. You can do this only because it's pretty much completely dry. Not cured, but dry. No, it's like army. Yeah, that's better. Let's go back to my dogs. Maybe the dogs and the dogs are going, oh my God. Brace yourselves. You heard of Bob. Can you tell me what Bob Blob's Law Blog? Can you tell me what that is? Look at this, the dogs are going into the donuts. This is all hell is breaking loose now. This is just unbelievable. Meow laser. Oh, this is just pandemonium. No one asked for this. Oh, this is just, oh. I'm just as upset as everybody else here. The dogs have taken over. We could not anticipate this. We were not expecting this. This was unexpected. We did not know that the dogs were going to take over. Who would have thought? That one's more sausagey. Wow, they're getting girthier. Oh God, help us. We need some likes. We need some thoughts and prayers here, because this is getting out of control. Oh God, the dogs they're like seeking out like the missiles. They're going for the donuts. This is just. Make sure you're sitting down if you're watching this. This is. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's kind of like unacceptable. Oh God, the dogs. Revenge of the dogs. The glogs. Am I glad I'm doing this right now? Like, honest question to myself? Not really. This just happens. I try to control it as best as I can, and sometimes this all hell breaks loose. This was when I set out to paint this today, I almost removed it from the easel, like it was done. It was done. But boy, was I wrong. You don't want pink dogs. Well, I guess you do. You don't want purple dogs. Oh, I guess you do. You want peachy, creamy, glistening dogs. You see, these guys are like, this dog's going up now, like this. They might have to be like christened or burnt to really get the dog. I even need some reference photos of these dogs now. The dogs have gone so far here. When they were just here, it's like whatever, who cares? But now that the dogs have become like, oh shit, the dogs have become a paramount part of this painting. Well, everything changes. How long is this dog? Is he going to keep going? Stay tuned. Does he curve at the end? Or does he hold his course straight as an arrow? Stay tuned. Are these cheap like dogs that you can get? Are these vendor dogs? Kinda, I think. So I'd say like kind of better than average. Average, they should maybe be a little smaller. These are above average dogs. Oh, this one's getting inserted too. Oh God, I'm so sorry. You know, I saw a cool artist do painting. He painted a donut and a dog. I'd have to see his name. I think I even follow him. Might have to give him a shout out here. Oh, dogs. More dogs. Ketchup and mustard donut topping. Yeah, okay. Otherwise, we have no idea what's happening, right? If we don't add some like garnishings, what is going on? Fair enough. Revenge of the dogs. Is this dog like in his ear? Maybe. Oh, this is. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is just tragic. But you can kind of see the story, like, so they're battling, or are they, or are they making love? I'm not sure. Sometimes it's confusing. You're not sure what's actually taking place. I have done a painting, in all fairness to myself. I did a painting, I think last year, and I think it was like Forrest Gump and a bunch of hot dogs. I really liked that painting a lot. Like, I was really proud of myself for that piece. So dogs have infiltrated my work before. It's not the first time, but I think this is the first time that they've taken over. I don't think I've had dogs take over like this before. We need more, something, sometimes it's confusing. Yeah. Sometimes it's heartbreaking. Sometimes it's like really tragic. And yes, sometimes it's just straight up confusing. It's almost like so close yet so far. Oh, you are so close. I do want to get to a point in my art career where, like, if I submit to competitions or some sort of esteemed, high-level, prestigious event where I just submit something like this. I'm like, here, I want the judges to judge my dogs. I want people to like take it seriously. Okay, and this artist has submitted a painting where dogs are penetrating donuts. What do we think about that? And then they have to concoct some sort of analogy for how it represents society and so forth. That's what I want for my career. I want judges to have to like take a lunch break and think about the dog infestation. Hopefully that happens one day. Revenge of the dogs. I'm kind of actually serious about that. I want to continue building my technical skills so that people are forced to have to contend with my concepts. That's always like one of the underlying objectives. If my skills get good enough where you have to now discuss with a glass of wine in your hand what is happening here. What do the dogs represent? What is he trying to say? Why are they being inserted into the donut holes? What does that mean? And so on. Luke McMurray, make them question why they studied, why they got into this business. In all fairness, there's always been absurdist artists, which are also very inspiring. So I've met some people that really have liked my work over the years, and they're way weirder than me. It's funny because the artist sometimes gets a pass, but the people that hang this work in their home, spooky. You're the true. Yeah, it's weird. There's something weird about that. Because realistically, I think the artist is clearly the one that has issues. But maybe equally the people that go, hey, you know what, that'd be great above our mantle. They too have issues. It's a nice partnership. Oh, put that beside little Billy's graduation photo. That'll work nicely. bring the room together. Oh, hang it out over there. It'll bring the room together. I think, what else is happening? I think like one over here, kind of like get it going the other way and have it behind here. I don't know how many more times I have to apologize, but maybe once more for good. I'm sorry. I'm sorry this is happening. I think that's an apology to myself, mostly. I think I need to look in the mirror after I hang up from you and just question everything. Oh my God, this is pandemonium. We're going somewhere else too now. I'm so sorry. We're doing like a little UFO here. I'm so, oh God. Oh, this painting was finished. I told you. I did not want to work on this today. I have 2 panels prepped. I have ideas full to the brim, concepts, things I've thought about and mused over and contemplated all week while this thing was coming to life. Like, I can't wait to get up, move on. And here we are. It's kind of like I'm joking and kind of like I'm dead fucking serious. When I tell you, like, when I set out to put a few little things here and wrap up the stream just to have this on record, like the finished version of this painting, that was the intention, hand to God. The last thing I wanted to be doing was adding a little submarine, a little UFO. I didn't think it needed it. I wanted just to focus on this critter. Well, works in mysterious ways. All this can be cleaned up really easily because it's wet on dry. The couch is touch dry, like dry. So if I don't get the shape right, you can just clean it up really fast, which I'll have to do here, I think. I think in order to project or like really land a UFO, you want these edges out far as possible to be like a saucer. I think maybe even a hot dog's driving it. Oh yeah, Beanbert. Oh God. It'll go with my tie-dye in geometry. Nice. I had 2 of my paintings taken down by buyers, painters. One was destroyed. No way. Someone destroyed your painting? I always think if it leads to that kind of outcome, you're doing something right. Where people are so appalled or moved to create like a physical action towards your work, including like stealing it. I always like, I anticipate one day that someone will like create a heist. This is more of a dream, but like create a heist to steal my work. if you really want to know, like, how do you know you made it? Well, when someone steals your work because they anticipate that there's some value behind it truly, that they can sell it on the black market. All right, no one, let's get into it. Let's do the beam, baby. You called it. You called the beam. Let's hit the beam right now. It's happening. It's happening! And for those just checking in, all hell is breaking loose. This painting was finished, as far as I was concerned. I just sat down just to clean up a few edges. And now we're in straight up pandemonium. The hot dogs arrived. The UFOs are here. We have no like guardrails. We have no kind of off-ramp. There is no off-ramp right now, and it just is what it is. I've done my apologies already. You can go back and watch. I'm sorry. But we got dogs running the spaceship, which is just absurd. But there's like, there he is. There's the dog running the spaceship. Oh God. He's kind of bent up against the roof. He's being pushed in there, right? He's not completely comfortable, but he's done it many times. It's not new. It's not his first operation. He's just too big for the craft. I don't like that color. It looks too white. Let's go here. Adding this yellow actually helped because then it kind of justifies these highlights already in Bert's. So I guess this ray is actually melting Bert. Now we have more lore. Yeah, out of hand. No, I thought about like damaging my art in the past, years, decades ago. We had some strategies. We used to run a gallery and thought we'd create like vandalize and before the opening of a show, like call the police and say, hey, someone broke in and vandalized all the art. But I think there'd be too many repercussions, like too many investigations where we end up getting screwed there. So we put the kibosh on that. But yeah, stealing your own art. But I think what it comes down to, then you're the one that has to tell the story over and over again. And at some point you're like, Jesus, it was me. I stole my own art. I don't know. I don't want to. There's some stories I can keep forever and embellish and play off of. But something like that, at some point you're just like, it was me, I stole my own art. And then people go, oh God, dude. But if you can do it in a way where you can convince yourself that's the right move, do it. Because then you can say, yeah, like, someone came in and stole like $3 million worth of art. But you're always trying to create like there's something that to the art game that's like the Pete Davidson effect. The Pete Davidson effect is like, oh, if he's good enough for Ariana Grande, then he's good enough for me. Right? So you're always trying to create that illusion with your art. Like, oh, if it's good enough for so-and-so, so you're always trying to like figure out ways to get art, get the right connections, so that it's like, oh, if it's good enough for so and so, then maybe I should buy some. People are just like that. That's just kind of like human nature. Even on a more like basic level, like that, testimonials are essentially that as well. When you get people talking about your work and like, oh, I collect that work and blah blah blah, then it justifies other people who go, okay, well, they invested, maybe I should invest. I think those kinds of things just happen over your career versus a actual strategy to make that happen. You can try to force that, but I've just noticed that over time, it's like, oh, I've sold a lot of work over the years, and that all adds up over time. So if you're playing the long game, you're playing the right game when it comes to art. Art is the long game. There's a lot of artists that like blow up like a light switch, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think for like someone like me, we're in like getting close to 2 decades of doing this kind of insanity. And there's just enough to keep me always going. Because you really have to go, I just do it because I love it. I paint when I'm not selling, and I paint when I am selling. So regardless, I'm painting. And then you have to say, well, ideally it'd be better for me if I sold more work. So then you put some thoughts around it, for sure. But you do have to come to a point, at some point you're like, well, even if I'm not selling in my painting, yes, well then you're in a good spot. Then you need time. You need time. And you need criticism and self-criticism and honesty. Timmy, you keep working. I love it. Sounds like Banksy. What does Banksy say? Isn't his name Ronnie Cunningham or Robbie Cunningham? What's his name? Oh, poor Banksy. I still don't even know how I feel about that. I wonder what he really thinks. I think he did it so well, though. You even go like, is that really him? Pretty sure that the jig is up and that's him. That's my understanding. But still, like, there's this kind of weird doubt in your mind, like he's so advanced and smart and plays 4D chess. Like maybe that's not even him. However, for the sake of the conversation, I do believe that is him. His name's like Ronnie Cunningham or something. Now he goes to Starbucks and people are like, hey, it's Banksy. That must be weird. He got away with it for so long. And then all of a sudden he goes to McDonald's and they're like, hey, Banksy's here. Oh God. Can I get a photo with you? Yeah, he lives in that world now. Banksy lives in that world now. Like, hey, can I get a photo with you? Can we do a collaboration where? Oh, he lives in that world now. He avoided it for 30 years. And now he lives in the world where it's like, hey, my mom loves your stuff. Can I get a photo with you? So it makes me even think like, oh my God, like he either anticipated this and has a game plan, or is regretting waking up in the morning. Or he might be able to have, if he conjures up a game plan, there might be like an interesting way to utilize his exposure. I do think if anyone could do something where it works in his favor, he could do it. I just think it's hilarious that he's out walking his dog and then he's going to get bombarded by humanity and TikTok. I love your stuff, man. I almost bought the stuff when you were selling it in New York. I almost bought it. He's going to get all of it. So these dogs are a little crispy. These dogs are a little crispy. You know, they've been rotating in the machine. They kind of look like those dogs most, right? The 7-Eleven dogs. Oh, that one has a tip. And it will remain that way. That dog has a tip. Wow. What a Freudian slip. Let's dive in then. It's got a little highlight on the ridge. Highlight on the ridge. That sounds like a book. The title of my new book, Highlight on the Ridge. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Some things need to be worked, like this has to be defined, otherwise it's going to get lost in translation. And because we're kind of working with a finite amount of space in there, I have to then decide, okay, wait, are we going to do a dog driving it or not? I think the dog is funny, so it'll stay, but it's kind of clouded. It's a little bit unclear. And then when you add like some reflection in the glass there, you can't even tell that's a dog anymore, in all honesty. So makes me think, but I think the dogs are driving the UFOs, man, so it is what it is. I don't make up the rules. It's just the highlight on the ridge. The official Banksy story doesn't make sense at all. I wholeheartedly believe Banksy is a commercial art collective, possibly. Yes, I've heard that too. But they just caught Ronnie Cunningham in the middle of doing something, and then they put together all the pieces based on that being him, and they seem to be like a strong case for that to be him. And like always, could come out in 2 weeks that no, that wasn't him. But I kind of have a feeling like deep in my gut, I'm pretty sure that's Banksy. It would be cooler if he was part of the massive attack. I don't believe that's the case anymore. But what do I know? So now we've added like motion. What we'll do now is I like adding these things. I don't know why. Just kind of thought it would be it's a good way. It's like you can add certain things in reoccurring paintings to create like signatures and styles. And I always do these kind of like comic book surprise marks or expressions. Like he's saying something or reacting. We'll add some glisten to the dogs. Try to be selective and thoughtful. You can also shape them with the marks. Like really add that curvature. Again, you're just adding depth to when you add additional colors and values to your subjects. You just really, what the result is, you're adding depth, like so that there's dimension. And that's just how you make things more real. And you can really solidify your idea. That's what I'm attempting to do. I'm pretty sure like there's going to be a lot of like, are those wieners or dogs? Like what, like I don't know if we accomplished what we're setting out to do. But I'm giving it the old college try for sure. I do like the additional the add-ons that we've been doing. What I know about Banksy is that he did have representation, or like not early, but at a certain point where he was working with somebody that was representing him, and I've seen like interviews or something with that representative. I'm not. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. At some point, I have no idea what's going on, but I think there was ways to, like when he did the first show. Have you ever seen the doc? The doc he came out with Mr. Brainwash, Exit Through the Gift Shop. He put on he put on shows and I'm sure sold work, or at least had some points of contact. And then as time went on, then, because even when he did the Girl with the Balloon in the Shredder at Sotheby's, or was it Christie's, he would have points of contact where people can actually connect and throw ungodly amounts of money at them. And then he tours around, and yeah, what a wild bio. Impressive, nonetheless. Yeah, the Exit Through the Gift Shop is probably the best art doc I've ever seen. It was so fun when that came out. And what a push for like the graffiti movement. Not that it needed it or anything, but just like the behind the scenes and the rise of Shepherd Ferry even and stuff like that. That was so cool. And the street art movement. Getting lots of reds and pinks in here. When you add these these darker values, these washes on here, it just brings depth to your imagery. When you have like 2D cartoons, you'll see like a good comparison. They're just static, one simple color, and then they might have like a gray, or sorry, like a darker value to mimic or to infer depth. If you kind of play with that breakdown when it comes to actually painting, you're going to have so many variations of that and so many levels of that depth to create realism. So the opposite way to when you're doing cartoon work and stuff is you don't need all of that dimension. It's not required. But for these dogs to exist, they need to have some depth. Detail too. Depth and detail. Same with the donuts, like there's some defining lines that would just fall in the detail camp. But they're really dramatic lighting, so they have some pretty deep shadows. And we don't know it's a dog driving the UFO anymore. That's okay. Can we at least convince you it's a UFO? That's good. Maybe there's a shadow. Let's see. The light doesn't have a shadow. You guys have seen that experiment where you have a candle and there's no shadow behind the flame. Same with the UFO rays. The UFO rays, no shadow. The structure, shadow. The stem of the candle, shadow. Never usually comment, but had a long shift delivering pizzas, and I thought your podcast on painting insights kept me awake. You're a very inspiring artist. Oh, I'm glad you watched that. I really love Simon and everything that he's done and his dedication to artists. And so I appreciate you hearing mine. But I'm just happy you follow Simon and his painting insights and tune into that, because I think overall that's a really cool operation. I'm even glad you brought him up so I can ramble on a little bit about it, because it's so, that kind of stuff is so important. And he's truly interesting, and he's interested. And I hope he continues and he gets a couple more breaks, whether it's through some of the artists he interviews or people just really start to clue in, like, hey, he's getting all the contemporary artists of our time, a lot of them, and I hope he gets more. But he's landing. He's interviewed so many people that are alive today, and with some serious backgrounds, and some artists with some serious talent, and like putting them all in a group, and then where you can just hear them all talk is so bravo. Really proud and honored to be part of that. I think he has the right candor, and it's really, you know, I've watched some that are super boring, but art can be really boring. Art can be like really stale and methodical and technical, and it's just as important as the painting hot dogs, driving UFOs. So it's kind of like, it's the best of both worlds. You get like a wingnut like me on there, and then you have somebody technically breaking down what it really takes to be a great oil painter. I just think that's so rad. Yeah, those are my thoughts. But yeah, it's cool that you chimed in and had a long shift. What's a long shift like? Painting pizzas, delivering pizzas. What's a long shift? And is that daily? And is that just only one company? You're not doing multiple different. I'm not sure how it works where you're at. But anyways, appreciate you and thanks for saying what's up, and hope you feel chill now and all that good stuff. And you must be a painter yourself, or a creative. So appreciate you. Park Sue. And anyone else, 10 hours. Anyone else needs to check out Painting Insights before I move on from that. I think it's really important for artists of our time. Parks, what do you say? 10 hours, but I'm 21. Oh, yeah, you're good. You can do anything. I used to pick up garbage at 21, literally. I was a laborer for a couple of years. I had a lot of, I remember those days. So actually, I have no sympathy for you at all. Keep delivering them, making some money. Put your money. The hardest thing that everyone always says and no one can ever do is like, if you could actually put your money somewhere that you're making, like spend it all but keep some sort of percentage. Everyone tried to really ingrain that, and it just doesn't work at 21. But imagine you had the ability to just sock away some of it and put it somewhere smart, just like the smallest percentage, and pretend like you don't have it. I do that now, but I'm also double your age. It just took so long before I'm like, oh, I can do that and I like it. It's like the same as learning. Like I no, for me, I can only guess me. I never liked learning. Learning sucked. Just the idea, like there was just no benefit. I saw no return. Like when you're in class, like why would I pay attention? And now I can't get enough. Like I was watching, oh my God, I was watching like, yesterday I watched a tutorial on how to use curves in Photoshop. The most boring thing you've ever seen. And it was like magic. And then last night I was also watching something else before I went to bed. Like how something was made, or how this comes together. And I'm like, I'm so interested in learning now. What a shift. I guess my point is like, I don't know why I was not interested in the slightest to learning when I was younger. Why it all, like it comes later. You'd be fascinated with things, obviously, as a kid. And I guess that would be considered learning. Like if you're fascinated in something, then that'll carry weight and it'll get ingrained. But my thirst for knowledge today is night and day to when I was like 21, for example. Or younger, really. And so it's like the same thing. I could tell you like over and over again and shake you and you gotta put your money somewhere fun so that you're actually interested in what you're doing. But unfortunately, you just like, yeah, next paycheck. Now I really get excited when I see money building up in my account. But I would always just, in the past, I would just spend it as soon as I got it, and then some. Then I started getting in debt. like, oh, I'll just put it on the credit card and we'll get a new muffler, new exhaust for the car, and no, it needs a new transmission, and let's upgrade it while we're at it. You just never think in the term. I'd rather do that than see money build up in my account. I'd rather just spend it on stuff. I remember one time I had like Subway, Taco Bell, and McDonald's all in one night. That was like that was peak money wasting. Like peak, like how I, like peak gluttony. But it was, even at that age, I was like, what are you doing? What is, like, wow, what an achievement. But the way that you think at that age is so different to what you're going to think like when you get older. And I wish I could have told myself then, like, hey man, like, it actually is the funnest thing to see your bank account grow and not shrink. And like use it almost like a competition to yourself. Like, I bet you can't get it to $500 by the end of the month. And then, you know, if you can keep that mentality and feel like excited, like, and stimulated by growing your bank account. Because I think we all say, oh, of course, I want all this money, but then you don't. You just eat at Burger King, Taco Bell, and Subway all in one night. Yeah, next time. And here's like another thing on that kick is like, when I make food at home now, I would much rather eat what I'm making at home than ordering out. Now pizza's different. In Paxu's perfect, like a good home delivery pie, it's kind of unmatched. But I made like these burgers yesterday. I'm like, I would rather have these burgers that I made than like Burger King. And you think maybe I'm kind of joking. I'm not joking. They were so good. But when I was younger, that was not the case, man. I just didn't think, no, what, like burgers that you make yourself are just not this. Burger King's better. If something changes, something shifts as you get older. Easy just to say maturity. But even your taste buds, and there's something that happens where you're like, this is actually, I'd rather like hand to God eat these burgers that I'm making than have like anything from the menu. There are times when you're out and, you know, Burger King's going to hit the spot, of course. But those become few and far between as I age. I can't remember the last time I ate McDonald's. I can't. It's like within the last 12 months, I don't know. You bring me back to when you were your age, Paxu, eating like once a week. And that's just McDonald's, like not counting everything else I'm shoving into my body. So it's just kind of the same principles. Like there's something about when I get older, watching my bank account grow, even if it's like slow, is really rewarding and like satisfying, and like, and it curbs how I spend on things and stuff, where before that would just be silly. Like I live very loose. And yeah, it's just a fascinating observation. Nothing new there, but there's nothing I can tell you to make you believe me, or for you to feel it, where you're actually like, dude, I really am getting something out of this, like seeing my growing my stacks. I think there's just too many things that are so stimulating, like even taking a girl out and spending, you know, like $200 or whatever you guys would spend nowadays. But you'd rather do that than save the money because it's more of an experience. I think when you get older, there's less things that are feel like an experience. You're like, I really don't need to spend $200. Let me make you a nice meal, and or like do something really simplified that doesn't, put together a plan. But again, because there's so many factors, yeah, like things, maybe that's it. It's just less of an experience as you get older. It's not new. It doesn't feel exciting as much. So it's easier to manage. You're like, yeah, I don't need to do that. We can pass on that. Why? Because I want to see more money in the bank at the end of the month. I think that would be the best argument of why I could not hold 2 pennies together in my youth. Yeah, learning is an addiction. I like how it feels like that now. Just wait for it to click. Yeah, you have to wait. Because there's nothing I can say. Well, if you think like me or like me at all, it's like everyone told me like how to do it, what it looks like, how you can put some money aside, how you can like do this, do that, and still feel like you even have, like you're getting what you want. But when I had money, it was gone. Like it was just, what they say, burning a hole in my pocket. Always. If I had money in the bank, it needs to be spent. And let's do the most outrageous shit with it as possible. So that like just qualifies as an experience that I think you should have. But if you could find that fine line of like, well, let's keep some and not think of it like I even have it. Let me figure out a way to get high off of like saving, which sounds so ridiculous. But if you can find that, because eventually you do, so if you can find it sooner than later, you start to get high off of saving money and like going, oh, and then like having game plans and goals and stuff. Talking about goals when I was younger is just a fool's errand. If I can't make it happen right now, then forget it. Just forget it. I'm not going to plan for next year. Are you silly? What are you, stupid? But now you can do it. When you get into your 40s, you can start to like go, okay, well, if I do this and do that, then we can have this. And you start thinking about different things, and different things get you high than what used to. Maybe because you've done it, so you can cross it off and you don't need to like, it just doesn't hit the same. So you're easy to not only dismiss it, but not need to spend your money over there. You've done it. All right, I think that's it. I think there it is, the TikTok God of 2026.